Alright everybody, today we're going to go over what to do after you have completed your project and you're ready to turn in all the files and everything. So what we're looking at right now, this is an actual project created by one of our participants in our last workshop. So let's just run their game real quick. If you press this, I do believe, it will make the screen bigger. Yeah, there we go. Alright, now let's hit run. It says hello, what's your name? And we can type it in right here, so I'll say Josh. It says, hello Josh. Once you practice your math facts, of course I do. Alright, so it says good, to get started press the space bar. So what is 1 plus 3? Well, if I put 4, it says good job. And now 4 plus 4 is 8, but if I accidentally messed up, press 9, it'd say sorry, try again. And then it'd give me more numbers, and you just keep going. So that is the project right there. So after your project is done, you're happy with it, you're ready to turn in, the first thing we need to do is we need to save our project. Or save it as an XML. That is an external file that we can use, basically what you can turn in. So we have, if we look up here, the regular saving, save as, but what we want to do is, it's up here on this piece of paper. Let's go down to export project. It says show project data as XML in a new browser window. So if we click that, a new window will pop up and you will get all this crazy stuff that doesn't look like anything coherent. But this is actually your project in the XML code. So how we save this is anywhere on the screen here, just anywhere, or anywhere where it's white, there's the text. We want to right click. Just right click your mouse and you will see save page as. It might not necessarily say save page as, but look for something that says save something. If the word save is in it, then that is good. So if we click that, hold on. Alright, so if we right click here on the screen and then choose something that says save, mine says save page as, yours might say something different, but as long as the word save is in it, you should be good. So let's left click save, and then it will give you a window to save. Now for this drop down menu, make sure it says .xml right here, and just choose where you want to save that, and you can also give it a name. I do believe the game that the participant made was called Dinosaur Math or Dino Math, so you just name it whatever and hit save. Alright, so now that that is downloaded, let's go into the file that or the folder that we're going to be compiling everything. So we see right here, this is where we saved our Dino Math. Now what you can do with this XML file, so let me close this out and bring up Snap again. I'm going to clear this project, make a new one. So I'm going to click the piece of paper right here and click new. Place the current project with a new one, yes. So what this XML file does is it's a way to share your projects with us, the people running the workshop, or your peers, or your students, or however you want to do it. But so what you can do is you get this XML file, and then you left click and hold it. You want to hold your left click. You want to left click and drag, and then drag it over here in your workspace in Snap, and then let go of the left click and it'll say opening project, and then it opens up the project ready to use. So that's awesome. Alright, so let's go back to our folder we're working in. So what we want to do is create let's create two folders called additional game files and project source files. Just in case you don't know, to create a folder, you would right click your mouse and you go down to where it says new, and all this pops up, and usually the very first one will say folder, and if you click that, you see we can name it something, so test folder. And if you accidentally named it wrong, you can right click, go down to rename, click that, and then we can rename it whatever we want. But we're not going to use this file, so I'm just going to delete it. Alright, so once you have your project source files folder made and your additional game files folder made, what we want to do is we want to get our project XML that we just saved. Left click that, left click, hold the left click and drag it into your project source files folder. So inside project source files, we want to have our main XML, and that's all we want to have in there. Now for additional game files folder, what you would put in there, it's kind of self-explanatory. It's any other file or anything like that, be it images or code or anything that you used to make your project. It's anything other than the main project itself. Our main project is this main XML file right here. Additional game files would be dinosaur cartoons. Let's say for if we made a dinosaur game, we used images. Well, we would just save them to here. So just any extra files would be in your additional game files. Alright, so now we have these three folders. One is project introduction, guidelines to K through 12 teachers, and a PowerPoint called curriculum presentation. So let's click on our project introduction Word document first. So let's just double click that. Alright, already popped up. Alright, so we see it says project information. Let me zoom this up a little bit for you. So it says project information. So the first thing we have is a project title. This is where you would put the name of your project. I called it Dino Math, but it was called Dinosaur Math. But you know that this right here would just be the name of your project. That's it. So the next one is CIKT participant's name. I just use my own name just in case. You know, I don't know if we're allowed to be giving out the other people's names willy-nilly. I did not create this game, obviously, but I didn't want to use the real person's name. But anyways, in this right here, you'd put your own name. Next one is CIKT participants affiliation. Under that would be the school that you teach at, or wherever you teach. So the person who did this taught at Kirbyville CISD, so you would just put whatever for your school. And project description, you know, keep it short and sweet. It just says this game can be used to strengthen the students' addition skills. This can be used as an individual practice or in intervention to give the students more time to master the skill. This can start out as a simple exercise for the lower students, but can be increased in difficulty as the student begins to improve in the skill. This game format will hopefully grab the student's attention and make them want to try harder. So it's just a little description of what your game is kind of, you know, geared towards. In this case, it was used to you know, boost math skills and master the skill. So just, you know, just put a description of your game project right here. And that's it for the project introduction file. Make sure you save it, by the way. Alright, so our next folder is called Guidelines to K through 12 Teachers. Let's click on that. Alright, so the guidelines for K through 12 teachers. First one, or the first thing we want to fill in is our subject. This is what you teach. Or, excuse me, this is what the subject of your project. So the project had to do with math, so we put math here, and get a little more specific. It was it involved addition of numbers, in the ranges of 1 to 10. So if you did, for instance, if your project was over science, you would put science here, and if it was over the periodic table of elements, then you would just put, something like tests knowledge about periodic table, something like that. Alright, for grade, for right here, you would put your target grade area. If you make something that's like, what's 1 plus 1, it probably would not be targeted towards 12th graders, and vice versa. You would not have calculus in a first grade class. You might, I don't know. Kids are smart these days, but anyway, so just put the target audience of who you're trying to teach under grade. So for time required, this is how long your project would take for a student to complete. So in this instance, the participant who did it thought that 10 to 20 minutes would be enough time, or she left a note that said, or however long you want to let the student play. So that's just how long you think it would take for the students to be able to use it, be able to complete it, be able to learn from it, anything like that. Resources required. This is just saying, okay, what all do you have to have for the student to be able to use my project? In this case, they only needed Snap, so they put the title and they even put a link to it. Resources for teachers. This is resources that teachers would need. So it's apparently she said second grade TEKS or TEKS. I don't know, those names are changing all the time. But this would be something the teacher would need to possess and have. Alright, and finally we have our curriculum presentation PowerPoint. So this PowerPoint, during our summer workshops, our teachers would present all of this, but since this is an online workshop, obviously you don't get to present it, but we're still going to be able to look at it. So let's open this up, take a look. Alright, so the first slide, it's just the name of your project. Once again, I put my name because they don't give out people's names. The second line is where you teach at, and the third line is what grade you teach. Alright, so all this really does is just what this presentation is for. Is this would be for other teachers or anyone interested in using your project in their classroom. All this is doing is just explaining everything. Like, okay, we'll go through it and see. So it says, the game I created presents the student with a math problem. They have to solve it and type the answer in. Once they've submitted their answer, they will receive a message, lets them know if they're correct or not. The game is set to continue pulling random numbers from them to add together until they decide to quit the game. So all that is just a quick, a little overview, some of the main points of what your project is. Alright, and our next slide says, but first, for the students, or at least to apply their knowledge to the game, they'll have to learn a few concepts. Many of them in this stage still use manipulatives or their fingers to add. They're not given this option of playing this game. Therefore, they must learn what we call mental math. One of these concepts is making 10 to add 8. So this is just some like basic skills the students would need before doing, playing your project or completing the game you create. So in their next slide, she said one of these concepts is making 10 to add 8. So this next slide goes over this concept. So this is just kind of explaining some of the concepts that the students would need to maybe know to be able to do your project. So this is just explaining her math concepts. So next slide, it's still explaining math, still explaining math, still explaining math, and then her answer. And this is just another example of it. So it's pretty much just saying, okay, this game, It uses, this is what we're doing, it's using math, this is how it's working, but the students need to have these skills, and here are some ways that students do it, and this is how my project does it. It's kind of like that. And our last slide says for extra practice, it just explains what else the students can do. So students can play this game to practice their addition skills and mental math techniques when they're ready to tackle the concepts without counters. This can be used for the advanced students who already understand the concept while you work with the ones that do not. So it just explains what you could do with your project. So, after we have our project introduction, our guidelines for K through 12 teachers, and our curriculum presentation. By the way, your curriculum presentation, it does not have to follow this approach. You can do it in any way, but something you should try to do is your first slide should obviously, be the title of your game, your project, your name, what school you teach at, and what grade you teach. The second slide should be what your game is. Give some bullets about it and the name of it maybe. And then if there's anything you would like to explain about the concept that you're trying to convey through your game, like in this case is math, kind of work through that. And then you can give a little extra advice or whatnot to other teachers who'd maybe be interested in using your project to teach in their classroom. Okay, so after we have all that, we have our additional game files, which is all the files you use to make your game that is not the main file itself, because that is our project source files. So that's just our XML that we made. Then we have a presentation, PowerPoint presentation, we have our guidelines, and we have a project introduction. So after we have all of that, what we want to do is right-click your mouse, go down to New, and we see here it says WinRAR zip archive. Find something that has the word zip in it, and click that. And then it asks us to give a name, call it your name project files. Your name obviously being your own name. And once we have that, what we want to do is we want to get all of our other files. So just select all of those, then left click, hold the left click and drag into your zip file, your name project files. So once we did that, now if we double click and open this up, we see that all of our folders and files are in there. But it's just packaged up in this one nice neat little package. And once it is all packaged up, you will email it to us, and that email is computing.workshop@gmail.com. So let's do that real quick. So what you would do is go to whatever email that you use. It can be anything, doesn't matter. Let's log in real quick. Once you're logged in, you want to create a new email. Alright, and to 2, we see this computing.workshop@gmail.com. We'll leave that up there for a second in case you want to write it down. So computing, COMPUTING, and then dot, just put the dot, workshop, WORKSHOP, @ gmail, GMAIL.com, COM. So that will be our 2. And then the subject should be your name. And let's see, what do we call it? Your name project files. So just call it your name obviously being your own name. So mine's Josh Wilson. Snap project files. That'd be a good title. And then we want to attach it. Usually an attachment is this little paper clip. So if you click that, find where you saved it. We see we have the zip file right here. Just double click that, let it attach, and once it finishes loading and attaches, then hit send and they'll send it to us, and you'll be good and all done.